Hi, I'm Amit, and thanks for having me on the AEC Online Expo introducing interior architecture. I represent a practice called Incubus based out of Delhi, and I'll be sharing a couple of projects that capture the process of interior architecture that we follow and how we integrate the process of interior design with the built form. And to showcase this, I'll be sharing a couple of examples from recent live projects. And to start with, I would like to give you a brief introduction on what Incubus is all about. We have an interesting history. We started off as an industrial design firm, working mostly in the domain of manufactured products, automobile components, and really using design thinking in the area of engineering, consumer goods, and transportation. As we evolved as a firm, a lot of our clients started looking at a much more wider portfolio of services from what our team could deliver. And one of the principles of the firm being an architect, we were able to look at a very interesting development into design and architecture working in lockstep. And the firm has now grown to a practice of over 55 professionals based out of Delhi and Bangalore. And the multidisciplinary and cross-fertile approach that we follow is manifested in the kind of team we have on board, where engineers, architects, designers from a very wide range of fields, and people with a very, very diverse background, they work together and solve problems in a very collaborative environment. And the way the office is structured, the way the projects are structured, the way we partner with our clients, the whole collaborative framework actually reflects the way the process evolves in an actual situation. So we can start with the first project, which is a recent hotel that we've done for MGF EMA Group in Jaipur. It's now being operated by ITC as a Fortune Park hotel. And we were responsible for the architecture as well as the entire interior design of this property, right from the concept of the facade to the concept for the interior spaces of both the mall and the hotel, which work in a sort of integrated way, as well as helping the client execute the initial design. So in the case of the Jaipur hotel project, it was essentially a mall and hotel project which came to us at a stage where the structure was under construction, and we started off with a design for the built form and the facade, which reflected the client's aspiration to bring in a very modern expression into a market like Jaipur, which is largely about traditionally inspired buildings, a lot of sandstone, a lot of pink, and really bring in a very differentiated architectural statement. There were a fair deal of discussions with the client in terms of expression that is appropriate to the context, but the client was quite clear that they wanted a modern building irrespective of the context. Once the basic architectural expression was complete and brought into implementation, Incubus was brought in to do the interiors both for the mall and the hotel that sits on top of it. And here again we wanted to create a theme which was consistent across the property, a common thread that unfolds in different ways, and we got the flexibility and freedom to really define the idea right from the very early stages of the build form coming in place. So we were lucky in a sense that the architecture and the interior process were working in tandem. Once the building was in a pretty much finished stage, the mall was under implementation, we started work on the hotel. And the theme that we came up with was the magic of natural phenomena, which formed the underlying thread through all the spaces of the hotel, right from the public areas down to the room. So this brought in a lot of use of local materials, local craftsmanship, but all treated in a very contemporary way to reflect the modern expression that we were looking at from the architecture. So the reception lobby had a radial form. It was a multi-height atrium which was built around the idea of the moon phase. So the circular space was reinterpreted as a grid that took all the moon phases into the structure of the column and the floor lines, and that became the centerpiece based on which the entire space was composed. How Incubus works is also to use hand drawings, modern computer technology, very sophisticated visualization tools to have a very realistic understanding of the actual space before it is physically implemented. This really helps us refine the idea to a great extent before drawings are issued, and also really align all the stakeholders, the client, the end users into what the finished product's really going to look like. And this helps bring in a lot of confidence into the implementation process, totally reduces last minute changes, and really everybody who's a part of the project knows where it's headed. So taking that process ahead, we visualized every part of the space, the lobbies, the lounges, and use that as the starting point for the detailing phase. And this helps speed up the implementation process to a great extent, understand costs with a fair deal of accuracy, and give a very high degree of conceptual integrity to the client. Really what they saw on the computer was what they eventually got. So details of the furniture, the material palette, the art and graphic palette, everything was brought in right at the early stage of the design. The space, which was another multi-height space, which consisted of a tea lounge with a very exciting vantage view of the vantage point to the whole city of Jaipur, was treated with the concept of rings of life with palm fronds, radiating tree trunk rings, same pattern expressed very graphically in the rugs. All this was brought into the space of the tea lounge, which we really saw as a meeting place, an oasis in a way for the people of Jaipur, and really at a height which really captured the vista all around. So apart from the reception and the main lobby, all the public areas continued with the same theme of natural phenomena, with subsets built into separate areas. So the third floor, which was where the lounge bar and all-day dining as well as a banqueting facility was sited, we brought in separate themes for each area so that there is a consistency of thought but manifested in different ways, different palettes, so that there is a fair deal of vibrancy and interest retained through the spaces that sort of unfolded one after the other. So the lounge bar was built around the idea of nighttime and lightning and aurora in the sky, and very graphic lighting, very graphic use of the space, interesting materials as inlays were brought in to reflect that theme. And the way the space was visualized right at the start was the way it was eventually implemented with all stakeholders on board. The idea that came into the all-day dining experience was around sand dunes and the colors of the desert, again bringing in natural phenomena but with a perspective of where we were located, which is Rajasthan. So we had this concept of a wave-shaped ceiling that swirls above the dining area, and colors that were really inspired by the colors of the desert with vibrant contrast touches within the space. So the idea of interweaving waves, the ideas of screens and interspersed with black and white photographs of the people of the desert were what brought this space to life. And the same idea of natural materials, hand craftsmanship was taken down to the rooms, and graphic plans of Jaipur were brought in as art pieces. So everything really was very closely integrated with the initial thought of where we were situated